Welcome back to New Earth News and New Age Networking. We are so excited for this conversation today because our guest today is Kirsten Rhode. Kirsten is a seasoned professional in a spectrum of intuitive and healing disciplines, including roles as an oracle, intuitive life coach, healer, psychedelic integration coach, psychedelic facilitator, certified past life regressionist, PSYCH-K practitioner, remote viewer, and intuitive development instructor. And you may also know Kirsten and her beautiful daughterSevyn from TikTok, where they share absolutely incredible cosmic wisdom with the collective. And we are so honored to speak with you today. Kirsten, welcome to the show.
The honor is on mine. Thank you guys so much for having me.
This is incredible. I can't believe we are actually sitting here with you. This is so profound for me. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming today.
Yeah.
And let's dive in. So, Kirsten, why don't you begin by just telling us a little bit about yourself and your journey that led you to do the incredible work that you're doing today?
Absolutely. So when I was 4 years old, I remember I probably had visions before then, but I had a vision that my grandfather was going to be in the hospital with kidney failure. I think I actually voiced it to my mom that he was going to die. But she was like, no, no, no. And I was like, you need to call grandma. And she didn't. And I was a day off, but my grandmother called and said, he's in the hospital with kidney failure. And my mom came into my room and she was like, where did you get this information? And I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know. It just came to me. And my parents were very Catholic. They're not anymore. So I got this is demons telling you. And then she actually convinced me that I made that happen. She says, like, when I tell this story now, she's like, I didn't do that. I'm like, yes, you did. Because it traumatized me so much that I just shut it all off.
Right.
It's just like, no, no, no. And then when I was at TCU, I went to Texas Christian University for my undergraduate study in psychology. There was a class called parapsychology. And I was like, okay, might as well get back into this, because I was always interested in that kind of stuff. And I took the class, and for the final, we had to go either visit a haunted house or interview like a religious practitioner. So I went to this place called the Log Cabin in Fort Worth, very, very haunted. And I went there and we spent the night there. A lot of crazy things happened, but the most important part of the story is something followed me home. And I was laying in my bed a couple of nights later. I had already turned in my final assessment and everything. And I kept seeing like a specter in the corner of my eye. And I kind of just was like, well, whatever. And a couple of minutes later, something jumped onto my chest. And literally, I popped out of my bed. I had a Tempur-Pedic bed, and I'm weigh like maybe 100 pounds. So there's usually a little indentation. There was a huge indentation, and I was like, I am out of here. Grabbed my keys from my apartment and like flew. I was driving to my parents' house. As I was driving to my parents' house, I'm like doing like checks, like, okay, is my blood sugar low? Something like, what's going on? Because I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew I had just experienced that, but it's one of those things that you're like, I don't know what to do. So I stopped at Whataburger. I was like, I'm gonna get some food. Maybe I have low blood sugar. I was trying to rationalize everything that was happening. And as I had paid for my food and I'm waiting in line. And this is back when I ate meat. And so I'm waiting for my food, and I look in my rearview mirror, and there's this couple behind me kissing. They're also waiting for their food. And I was like, oh, that's really sweet. Then they saw me see them, and then their like teeth, they both turned into like demonic, like looking thing. And I was like, out of there. And so got to my parents' house, and my dad answered the door. He was like, you look white as a ghost. And I was like, well, I'm being attacked by something. And my dad's like, come on. Like, he's like, what are you on? And I'm like, what? I'm like, no, nothing. Like, what? But he didn't really understand. So he's like, okay, just lay down next to me. And my mom was out of town. So I laid down in bed. And every time he was reading, every time he would put his book up, this black mist thing would come out of the floor. And I would go, Dad, Dad, Dad. And he would put his book down, and it would sink back into the floorboard. This probably happened like 20 times. And my dad he was like, Kirsten, there's nothing there. And I was like, okay. So I just stopped saying anything. Well, the next thing I knew, I woke up in the hospital. I had stopped breathing. I was intubated. And they didn't know what had happened to me. They were like, we don't know. There's no reason why I should have stopped breathing. Yeah. And so I went to our church, like, parents were Catholic, and I went to the priest and I was like, please help me. I was so terrified. And my dad was like, yeah, this is demonic or whatever. So, and he was like, I don't know what to tell you. And I was like, I got really angry. I was like, this is your job. Like, what do you mean you don't know what to do? If somebody asked me, like, at my job, what to do, I need to have.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got really, that was like, I'm done with it. I'm done with the Catholic Church. Like, this is it. Forget it. And I remember I got on my knees and I was just like begging, like, spirit, like, God, help me, help me. Because I was so terrified, you guys, because the feeling that I remember that I had right before I guess I went out was like losing my mind forever, like in this infinity of darkness. And it was the scariest feeling that I've ever had in my life. And so I was terrified. And so I didn't expect to get an answer back, but I did. And the answer I got back was, you need to use your gifts and you need to help people with them. And I will make sure that nothing like that ever happens to you again. And since then, it's just kind of been, it's been growing. And the person that spoke to me, I believe, was Archangel Michael, but I can't be certain about that because he never said who he was. But I've since, gotten to know my guides, and it's just kind of progressed from there. But I've always been very psychic. Like, that's the thing, is my intuition was very on point. So when I started my business in 2015, and that's what I was doing, was readings. And when I had my daughter, things got really interesting. I had never had any experiences as a kid with aliens, nothing like that. So I didn't even think that they existed, to be quite honest. I thought that was a lie.
Right.
But I didn't discount it, but I didn't really think it was real. And when I was pregnant with her, I was very, very sick. And the only times that I ever felt relief was when I would meditate. And so I was sitting in a meditation one day, and I always knew, just like I said, my psychic skills were always very good. I knew I was having a daughter. And there was then that this girl in a white dress, who was about 21 years old, came to me and she said, "Hi, my name is Sevyn." And I was like, "Okay, that's nice. Who are you?" And she said, "I'm your daughter." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay, wow." I was like, "Well, why the name Seven?" And she said, "Because it's the number of completion." She said, 7 chakras, 7 heavens, which I still don't know what the 7 heavens means, but I'm sure I will find out at some point, because she doesn't know either. She's like, "I don't know." But so everybody, like I always say, she named herself, because at
Yeah.
that I was like, it's 7. And her father and I went through a really tough divorce. He left when she was 1.5 with another woman. And we had nothing. We literally had nothing. Like, I couldn't even buy food,
Yeah.
kind of thing. It was really scary.
I've been there. It's so hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It was tough, but it was also, wow, like, it made me so strong. So I don't blame him for anything. I'm just like, wow, thank you for teaching me. I feel like I'm a better mom because of it. I'm a tougher person. I have more discernment. So that was a really tough time. So we moved into like a small 2-bedroom in Utah. And I remember the very first time, like, I was out on the porch one night, just sitting there with her. We had these little stairs, and mind you, our apartment, and it was in Lehi, Utah, it backed right up to the NSA facility, like literally backed up to it, which I just thought that was kind of interesting. But I saw my first UFO that night, and she's like 1.5, so no, she's 2 at this point. So I was like 7, and she's like, she didn't really know what was going on. She's like, okay, whatever. And so it was kind of the running joke, because I would invite friends over because they would come see, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's so crazy. Why is this always happening over your house?" I'm like, I don't know. But they never came close. And then one night I had my friend Ashley at the house. Sevyn was in her crib sleeping. At this point, she's 2.5. And I heard her cry. And I said, "Okay, I'm gonna go check on her. I'll be right back." And I always left her door ajar, but I didn't close it. So when I walked up to the door and I opened it, I felt this vroom, vroom, vroom.
Oof.
And I was just like, and I was almost paralyzed for a second. And then as soon as I walked over the threshold of the door of the room, whatever that energy was went into the walls. And I was like, something was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I knew, but I was like, there's beings in here.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that came to my mind. And I reached, I grabbed her and I'm like, and she was like deep, deep, deep sleep. So she couldn't have cried, like that, like a deep, deep sleep. Because this was like an awake cry that I,
Right.
it wasn't like a sleep cry. And so I woke her up, and it took me a minute to wake her up, and I was very scared. And I was like, baby, what were you crying about? She was like, what are you talking about? She's so confused. She's like, I'm sleeping. So I took her in my room, and then I'm trying to explain to my friend Ashley what's happening. She doesn't believe in any of this stuff. At the point, neither did I. So she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't understand. But I was like, go in the room. And she walked in there. She's like, there's nothing there. And I'm like, okay, doesn't it make sense? There's all these UFOs over the house like that. I was like, there was something in her room. She's like, okay. And so I kept her in my room for like the next 5 nights because I was terrified. And it was like that. So then I put her back in her room, and it was literally the next morning I'm about to get her ready for daycare, and I go in her room, and I see on her arm, she's got what looks like surgical scars that had healed over. Like there was like 2 of them, and they were raised up. And you know how when you have like a surgery scar, it's like raised up, it's fresh looking, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like a scratch. And I was like, Sevyn, what happened to your arm? Like, did you scratch it? What is that? And she was like, Omi did it, which is my mom. And I was like, Omi's in Texas. We're in Utah. And so I was like, Omi's not here. And she was like, I don't know. And I was just like, okay. I started to get really afraid. And at this time, I just wanted it all to stop. I was like, leave my daughter alone. And it was also around this time that I was waking up in the middle of the night, like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I kept seeing triangles outside, and I guess I could have been dreaming, but I don't think that I was, because I remember getting up and there was like literally like a triangle lit up in the sky that was like maybe like a mile from me.
Wow.
And I was just like, what in the hell? So, and then I would go back to bed, and this happened a couple nights in a row. And then we had another couple instances where there were things in her room. And one day on the way to daycare, she said, Mom, I went to Mars last night. And I was like, okay, like what? And she was like, yeah, I went there and they wanted me to heal blind aliens. And I was
so
like,
cute.
okay. And I was like, what do you mean, baby? And like, how kids are at that age. It's like, I tried to press for more information. She just went on to something.
Yeah.
Else. And she came back, but she's like, Mom, I was really upset. Like, what if I can't do this? Like, they want me to do these healing stuff. And I was like, I don't know, baby. Like, you'll get it. Like, you'll figure it out. She was like, okay, but I was so confused. And I reached out to a woman who was like a lifelong contactee. And I asked her, her name's Sherry Wild. And I said, can you help me? Like, I know you've been a lifelong contactee. Like, my daughter's having these experiences. I just want to stop. And she was nice enough to write me back. I ended up having her on my podcast. And
That's cool.
Yeah. And she said, listen, there's nothing you can do to stop it, but she made this choice. Like, this is it's rarely of a malevolent nature. And I was like, what about the scratches? And she was like, they probably implanted her so that they can check on her. They've done the same thing to me so that they can monitor her vitals and make sure everything's good. I was like, okay. And things just kept getting weirder and weirder in that house. And I just kind of was like, I loved Utah. I call it my spiritual nexus because now I'm not afraid of the things I was afraid of now, or not afraid of the things that I was afraid of before. But then we just decided to move back to Texas to be closer to my parents. Also, the help financially, it was challenging. And when we were on our way back to Texas, and my friend Angie decided to drive with me in the car. And we're driving, and all of a sudden it looks like we're going through this place that has like a fire. Like it was like, and it looked like it was not a highway. It was not where we were supposed to be. Sorry about that. I'm gonna turn this off. It was not, it just didn't look like, I've made this drive before. It did not look like where we were supposed to be. It looked like we were climbing up into these like mountains, and there was this fog or fire. And then all of a sudden I looked up and I'm like, oh my gosh, there was a huge UFO right over our car. And Angie was like, she was a Mormon girl. She was like very like scared. Like, why is this happening? Why does this always happen at your house and around you? I'm like, I don't know. And I wasn't scared. I didn't have any fear. I mean, I thought it was really cool. And then we saw another one in the distance. And
she saw it too?
what's that?
Yeah.
She saw it
Oh
too?
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Angie saw it too. She got really afraid. Seven's asleep the entire
Yeah.
time in the backseat. She was dead asleep. And so we were driving, and all of a sudden I looked down, and this started at like 7 p.m. Okay. I looked down and it's 10 p.m.
Holy
And I'm like,
shoot.
wait, did we cross over into Arizona? Like what? And she was like, I don't know, but it's the same time. What are you talking about? I was like, no. Like this, it was just 7 o'clock. And she was like, yeah, like, wow, like that was really fast. And I was like, we've only gone like this far. This
Oh, I
does.
love this.
So
Sure.
I'm confused that I literally stop at a gas station and I'm like, because that has to be a rational explanation. I'm like, sir, where are we? He was like, you're in blah, blah, Utah. It was like in these canyon area. And I was like, okay, what time is it? And he was like, it's 10 p.m. And I was like, but did we cross over? Is there a time change or something? He was like looking at me like, no, what are you talking about? I was like, okay. And so I didn't know about the missing time thing. I was just like, okay, that was
Right.
very strange. But the entire time she's asleep. After the UFOs disappeared, she woke up. And so we had that. When we got to Texas, things calmed down. But she was still having experiences in her dreams where she was doing things. There was a number of like different things that with the Mars situation, because she ended up telling me like, I did it.
Oh, good. I was wondering.
Yeah. So she was able to heal them. And then she started telling me, I'm a blue alien. And I was like, okay. But I mean, I just didn't have a reference point for it. So I was like, okay. And it was at this time that I started working with psychedelics, like on my own, and because I was healing from my divorce. And I started working with DMT. And every time I would go in with the medicine, I would see this white buffalo calf woman. And she kept coming through, and she was, giving me guidance on a lot of things that were not just about me. It was like for humanity and things like that, and teaching me about quantum physics, like a whole bunch of crazy things. And that was happening. Then when I started working with people later, I would actually turn into her when they would go into the medicine.
How
They would
cool.
look at me and be like, what are you? I'm like,
Shaman woman?
just honestly, just people that I was doing ceremonies for later on, because this was like, years later after
Yeah,
I
but
worked.
is she you as a shaman?
I think she has to do with the Hathors. I think she is the same thing as the Hathors, as the same thing as Mary Magdalene, as the same thing as
Oh, heck yeah.
as the lady that Chris Bledsoe had experience with. I think they're all the same thing.
Wow.
Okay.
So I think it just depends on your cultural reference. Like, I think they're all the same thing.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So that started happening with me. And that was more of like, and with DMT, like really, I started to be able to see my guides. I started to be able to see beings in my room. I mean, they worked up to it, like, so I wasn't completely terrified of it. But yeah, so it just kind of grew from there. But what was really interesting when I guess it was about 2 years ago now, Sevyn called me into her room, and she was like, Mom, I have to tell you something very serious. And I was like, okay. I was like, what is it, baby? And it's like, she was like, I'm a blue avian. I'm an alien. I'm not human like you. And I was like, I laughed. And then I looked at her face, and she just looked so like hurt. And I remembered like all these memories flashed through about everything that's ever happened to us, up until now. And then also my mom, like what she said to me. And I was like, okay, baby, I am so sorry. I was like, I'm completely serious. And so I was like, well, tell me. And then she was like, well, I didn't really know everything until now, but like they've told me now, this is what I am. And I decided to come here, and I picked you to be my mom because I knew you would let me do this next thing that I'm going to ask you for. And I was like, what's that? She was like, you have to let me speak up on like one of your social media platforms. She was like, because there's other kids like me that are having the same experiences, and they have to come together. They get
Oh
to
my
come.
gosh, so beautiful.
Wow.
And I was like, well, baby, I don't know. It was like TikTok and stuff like that. Like, people are really mean, I was like, I don't know if I want to put you out there like that. And she's like, Mom, you have to. Like, she was just like, you have to. This is why I came here. And so I was like, let me meditate on it. So I meditated on it, and I asked the guides, and they showed me this whole vision of like how things would progress, and that it would give parents the courage to let their kids speak up, and that it would help more people having these same experiences not be afraid for their children. Because what I learned is if the kids are having these experiences, if you're afraid, it's going to, it's really going to mess things up for them later on in life. But if you show no fear and and you don't diminish their story, what they're saying, their experience, and you just encourage them to share and be open about it, then they're going to grow, and it's going to make them strong, and it's going to make them, honestly, like, it's going to fortify them through life. And I also learned, like, kids don't lie at this age. Like, they just don't. They lie for one of two reasons: to get out of trouble or to impress you. Yes. Well, my daughter and I have always had a phenomenal relationship. Like, she doesn't need to, if she asks for my attention, she gets it. And two, like, we don't do the getting in trouble thing. If she tells me the truth, she's not in trouble. So she's always told the truth. So, kids at that age don't learn to lie. And that, I also took her to a psychologist at one point, a friend of mine, because I wanted to make sure, like, is there anything wrong? Yeah. She was like, no, this little girl is very gifted. And then that's when she told me as well, kids at this age don't lie. So don't be worried about that. Like, and then we talked about it. It was like, even if some of this may not be exactly right, the imagination is the biggest key to opening up this phenomenon. And so don't diminish that within her. That's what the guides have told me. Like, even if she's like off by a certain thing, it's not because she's lying. It's because she's trying to fill in the blanks of what's happening, because she doesn't always get to remember everything perfectly. Right. So, yeah. So that kind of leads us up to now. Well, actually, like about 2 years ago, Sevyn was always the healer. It wasn't me. She pulled a headache out of my nose one day. Just crazy things like that. My dad, she healed him for a while. He's since getting sicker again because he refuses to change his diet, which she told him that he had to do. But nevertheless, she said to me, "Mom, you're a healer too." So she gave me the confidence to really, like, dig my feet into this. And then stuff started coming through, because I was like, no, I'm not. I'm like, no, that's your thing. Like, I'm the psychic. She was like, no, you're a healer too. And so that's when I really started working with it. And I started working with DMT too. The way that I do healings it's called avatar healings. I put a projection, it's like a hologram, but of somebody between my hands, and then I can work on them from there. And the way that it's different is it's actually their energetic body, their avatar. And so, when people do Reiki and they do it like directly on the body, a lot of people will reject that. Their energy rejects it because it's foreign. It's coming from somebody else that the energy, they don't recognize. So the body's going to, nope. And so that's why there's a lot of resistance with it. Well, with avatar healing, because I'm connecting to the energy body, it goes directly through source. So the person's actually healing themselves. And I'm just kind of like, I'm like the orchestrator, but
that is so cool.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's much more effective, as kind of what I've learned, and it's evolving and evolving and evolving. Like the other day I went in, I had a client and I was seeing like like a VR kind of situation. So now I get to go in and cauterize things. Like it's like very, it's really evolving as we're evolving, as humanity's evolving.
So are you doing this in meditation state? Are you via Zoom? Like, how are you just?
I do it via Zoom, and I'm just, I've done them on TikTok before too. I just connect with the person's energy if they have a photo, or have them type out their name so that I can connect to what's called an energy signature, and then I can do it that way too. But I use DMT in my practice because DMT helps me to see the projection. I can still see it without it, but it's not as crystal clear.
Do you microdose it? Sorry. Yeah. Oh, that's really remarkable. That is so incredible. I can't even find words. That's so cool. I'm so heavily interested in this right now. Can we do an episode where we just talk all about the DMT work?
Absolutely. I would love to. Yeah.
Because people need to know about these medicines, these plant medicines. That's just, wow.
Okay. It has changed my life. I have so much respect for this medicine. It is like, I have so much respect. And I know it's the beings orchestrating this from up there, from the higher dimensions, that are working with me through the DMT. I know it's all related.
Yeah, I agree to that.
That is so incredible. What a story.
Yeah.
I'm so curious about the
So
alien
many things.
like so how like can anybody see these beings, or do they appear specifically to someone for a purpose, or like how does that work? Like if somebody, like selfishly, like if I wanted to connect with like alien beings, like how, is
Yes.
that available for everyone? How does it work?
Absolutely. So, my advice to you is to go outside in the night sky and like really humble yourself, like really. And whether it's praying, chanting, whatever it is you do that you would when you would try to connect, and to push, like to almost drop into a very meditative state and to ask permission to connect with them. And and then just wait. And I'm finding a lot of my clients, this is happening to them now because we are actually moving to a higher density where it's easier for them to come through now. So people are having experience, not just me, and like, anybody can have these experiences, but you have to humble yourself, and you have to really, you have to have an open heart. As Sevyn says, like you have to just put your heart wide open. And you can't have, like, we've noticed if people are here that are like cynical about it, they don't believe, they won't show up.
Good.
And
So
go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, it's just a humbling and like an open heart, and just open. You don't have to believe, but just open to anything. That's kind of when they'll come. Yeah.
Is there one particular I don't know, like species of being that appears most often, or could it be any
We see blue
anything?
orbs. We see blue orbs, which I believe is the blue ray, and I can't, again, this is just my theory, I'm not for sure, but I think the blue ray is the same thing as the blue avians, is the same thing as the lady, is the same thing as the Hathors, is the same thing as the white buffalo woman, Mary Magdalene, that Isis, that whole network. I think they're all from that blue ray. So because
Wow.
when we see these blue orbs, and sometimes we'll see fiery ones, but not as much.
And what's the purpose of connecting with them? Why?
Knowledge,
Why are they?
wisdom. Why do they connect with us? Because they want to help us. Honestly, like the guidance that I was getting before this was like, you guys need to stop like hurting the planet, like doing all of these things. They were teaching me, you create your own reality. So like get rid of the negative thoughts and all of that kind of stuff. And they were also, and I don't believe in like fear mongering at all, but they were showing me some things about cataclysmic events that were possible timelines that were happening. And I do think that there might be a possibility of that still happening, but we create our own reality. So if enough people believe that's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. We're going to be safe either way. But because I believe they're going to show up during that time, if that is what happens anyway.
Right. Yeah, but it's not, I mean, on your end, it's not so much, I mean, for people like us, open-minded people, it's not so much fear mongering, more as awareness. And this is kind of like one of the reasons we're making shows like these now, to get that awareness out there. Like, hey, we can have this better planet if you guys get your shit together. I don't know where Sevyn's at, but
And
absolutely. And it's all about healing your core wounds, because we have, as a species, we have fear embedded in our DNA.
yeah,
It's been programmed into us for a long time, and it can be undone. This is some of the work that I do with DMT is this removing fear programming. And then like once you do that, it's way easier for them to show up too, because they also don't want to scare you. Do you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
and when you have a lower vibration of fear, because it is a lower vibrational frequency, and you're trying to connect, you're gonna maybe attract things that are not so nice. I don't believe anything is malevolent. Honestly, I think everything is, in my reality, the universe is working for me for a greater good. Even the experience that happened when I almost died, that happened for me to wake me.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Total mindset, same thing. Everything made me who I am right now, and for that I'm grateful, even though it sucked.
Yeah.
But wow, I have so many questions, and hours just not enough. We have to have you back. The DMT work you do. Sorry, I'm really big on this whole plant medicine. So I'm like, there's like 5 things you said that I'm like, the DMT work. Is this something that you ingest solo, or do you also provide it to your clients? I won't say patient because
Yeah, no, I do work with clients. I do it via Zoom, so it's more palatable because it only lasts, the medicine when you microdose, it only lasts like maybe 10 minutes tops.
Mhm.
So and we microdose it. So we're not going for a blast off experience.
Right.
That is a great experience to have in and of itself, but
Yeah.
that's usually that's not the realm that I'm working in. So I do have people, I do retreats all over the world, and I work with DMT and Changa, which is kind of like ayahuasca. It's smoked, and I call it the businessman's ayahuasca because you don't have to do a dieta and stuff like that, so there's no purging. But it's similar to that, and the same energy, grandmother energy comes through. But yeah, so anybody can do it. Obviously, I go through a nurse practitioner that like makes sure everybody, that they can do it,
Yeah.
and that no contraindications and things like that.
I'm very interested. I'm very interested in your retreats.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, me and my husband, I was 3 days ago, I was looking up ayahuasca retreats in Costa Rica because like I feel that calling so strongly now. So
We're doing one May 3rd through the 5th. Myself and a good friend of mine who is E. Keith, which I'm gonna say he's gonna kill me. It's a Mayan healer, like and it's a very big honor to be bestowed. Like there's not a lot of people who are allowed to do this. So he does like Mayan fire ceremonies, and he was one of my students with psilocybin years ago, and now he's like come full circle. So we're gonna do a retreat with medicine and the Mayan fire ceremonies.
Where are you doing it at?
In LA.
LA.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna go to is it linked on your page?
It's on my TikTok. I haven't linked to the page yet. I just made the video. We just like got it off.
Okay. I'll just keep an eye out. I'm very interested. I don't know if I'll be able to make that, but I'm so interested in that. And LA is only 20 hours from me. Elisa, you should come out.
I know, right? I'm so curious about sorry, go ahead. How does DMT actually work? Like it's such a buzzword, and I'm so supportive of plant medicine and expanding your consciousness and all that, but I'm not as familiar with DMT. So how does it actually work in like unlocking your psyche and opening your channel?
So DMT is actually endogenous already in us. Every plant, or well, not every plant, but most plants, animals, and humans all have DMT. You can have a psychedelic experience with breath work if you do like the Wim Hof technique.
Yeah.
You produce more DMT. So what we're doing is we're just ingesting more of it. And I like to tell people this because they always think like, oh, you're hallucinating. It's like, no. You're not seeing anything that isn't there. It's just opening the vision so that you can see the things that you normally can't see. It's like it removes a layer of density. That's how it works. And I'm pretty sure that in the next 3 years, they're going to discover that DMT is actually a neurotransmitter like serotonin and dopamine, because it acts like a neurotransmitter. It has its own thing, so and if people, it's very interesting, like when people go in with it, you just immediately feel very connected to everything. It can feel a little heavy in the body if people have a lot of stuck energy in the body. So that's the first thing we do is like move that energy up and out. And then, it's like you can do it. The possibilities with it are so limitless. I use it for remote viewing because I literally put on a blindfold and I can see like a movie playing out in front of my eyes of the question that I ask. So use it for that. I use it for, like the healing work that I do. I use it for mirror work, shadow work. Like it's part of my daily practice working with it.
That's really cool.
Wow.
Okay, so wow, yeah, on Gaia and like Unified TV, Melissa, if you want to do more research on DMT, definitely do it because I highly recommend it. I know you like to dabble in some stuff here and there. But this is like I would say like psilocybin, but like to the next level, right?
It is, but see, DMT is even, people think it's so scary, and because it's such a strong, and it is very, very strong psychedelic, one of the most, one of the strongest ones. But with the way that I take people in, it's so slow that it's almost gentler than having a
Right.
experience.
Girl, sign me.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's more palatable because it's like 10 minutes, whereas like when you go in for a mushroom experience, you're there for 6 to 8 hours. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Christy,
Oh,
your
okay.
sound just cut out. Yeah, that's weird.
Yep.
We lost you for a sec. Did you sit on the cord?
I think I did. Yeah, I'm
Oh
trying to
yeah,
hide
you're
it.
back.
I did. I sat on the cord. I'm trying to hide it. So like, but anyways, I don't even know where I lost you at. I'm just like trying to but anyways, yes. Uh my point basically is sign me up. I'm ready. Like
Yeah.
it just sounds incredible. So, and I have so many questions and they're probably not like podcast worthy questions, so I'm just going to zip it until I talk to you one-on-one in the future. But so what other healing or modalities or ways to provide to the community, like the New Earth community or the Fifth Dimension community or the Ascension community? I know you're very popular because of Seven, but I want to make it a point to like make you the highlight of this show. So I want to know like all that stuff you have to offer, and for anybody to reach out to you, because you really are extraordinary, I believe. And I think that you deserve just as much attention as Seven gets.
And like, yeah, I mean, I don't mind sharing like at all. Like, it's just like, you know, she's my best friend. So it's like, whatever.
You guys are a unit.
Totally. And it's so cute. Like she always hypes me up and I hype her up. So it's very cute. But yeah, so the only thing I've got certified in Psych-K and past life regression and Reiki. Okay, but other than that, everything else has been taught to me by my guides.
Which I think personally makes it even more profound and better, because we are doing the new age stuff, and maybe it's not new, but it's new to us.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that I'm a big proponent of is like getting rid of misinformation. So I post a lot on TikTok about this because I think it's so important. There's all this fear stuff and people think all reptilians are bad and this is bad. And no, it's like, whoa, stop. Because we have to stop that. We can't move to this higher density with that kind of thing. We can't judge. We got to get rid of all the conspiracy stuff. I don't even speak about it anymore. It's like, yeah, they did it, whatever, fine. We're moving on from it. Like, let's move forward. Because I know that stuff causes negative things to happen.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that I like to teach people is, and a lot of people, this is like a buzzword, is like reprogramming the mind.
Right.
But in a good way, you know, reprogramming the mind so that our thoughts line up with our words, because our words is spelling. We're putting spells on ourselves in real time. So we have to make sure that what we're doing is lining up. I also like to teach people to get rid of the word want and need. That's such a low frequency word. If you think about like, I want or I need. Yeah. So it's like, I get to do this. Then it's an uptick of like, it's excitement and it's a choice, right? And so those kinds of things are things that staples that I stand behind. I also do past life regressions. I do Psych-K has to do with the reprogramming. I also like teach I have students that work with me one-on-one. And when the guides let me know that I can start teaching this healing modality, I'm going to start. They've said I can't do it yet. So I still have more to learn. I still get to learn more. So yeah. And yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I have evolved. I used to do entity removals and things like that. And then they showed me a way to just expand your energy to the size of the universe, which meaning all is self and there is no other. Everything is playing the role of the other in your life. And when you do that, any entity attachment goes, it disappears. Because
I may have seen a post that you posted about that, because I've actually practiced that one.
Yeah, and it's like people are like, whoa, this really works. And like, yeah, because I don't want people to have to need me for things. You know, it's like anything I can do to educate people so that they're self-sufficient. Like yeah, like that's awesome.
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know?
and all in all, you're healing yourself. They're just using you, as in Bashar's
Yeah.
terms, the permission slip to be able to believe that they can heal themselves. So I think it's like I said, I think you're extraordinary, and I just love everything you're doing. And I have 1,400 more questions, but I'll let
Yeah.
Elisa speak on something.
I love how you're so well versed in so many different modalities. How do you decide like which modality might be the best for a client? Or is it the client that drives that decision with their interest in one certain type of modality?
They usually come with an interest, but if the guides tell me something different, that's what I get. I mean, again, leave it up to them, but usually what the guides go with is usually what ends up happening, and there's always a reason for it, and they've yet to steer me wrong, honestly. And I work primarily with 3 different guides. I have a earth-based reptilian guide who I share an oversoul with. That is like, he's instrumental with my psychic gifts. Like, he's phenomenal. I have a Pleiadian blue avian guide who's a female who has helped me with the healing stuff. Like, she's the one that does that. And then I have an Arcturian guide that also, she is instrumental with the reprogramming.
Oh,
Wow.
how cool. 3 different species.
Yeah.
I totally a newbie question, but like is blue avian and Pleiadian the same or different?
They are, yes, they are a offshoot. Because Pleiadian's
Okay.
like a blanket term. So let's say
Yeah.
I said Native Americans, that would be like Pleiadians.
Okay. And then you
Because-
have the specific tribes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's
Okay,
so cool.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And
And so,
do you have a favorite modality, like one that you just love to do the most often or that you resonate the most with?
you know what? I love them all. And the beauty of it is I literally manifested a way to do something different every day, because all of these things came in so many ways. So it's like, some days I do medicine work all day, some days I do healing. And so it's something different, which that was part of the reason why I got out of corporate America, because I was like, I can't do, like, this is
Right.
so
Tedious.
so miserable. I'm doing the same thing every day. So I literally manifested this so that I could do a bunch of different things, and then I get to go do ceremony work, and yeah, it's beautiful.
I love it. So if you don't mind me asking, is your human design a manifesting generator?
I'm just a generator, yeah.
Are you?
7's a manifesting generator.
So am I. And a lot of the stuff you're saying reminds me of myself, like, just everything everywhere all at once. Not
Yeah.
to be
I
moody,
think
but
together we are a manifesting generator.
heck yeah, you are. So like the way it works is like the generators generate it, they get stuff going, and the
Mhm.
manifesting generator will sit there and then when she like feels a response to something you've generated, she can tenfold it,
Blast
blow
it
it up.
out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. She is literally one of the craziest manifestors I've ever seen. Like,
That's so cool.
yeah, like we didn't have money to go to Disneyland like 3 years ago. And I ran into a woman that was like, it was not like 2 weeks later. I was like, what do you want to do for your birthday? She's like, I want to go to Disneyland. I was like, okay, babe. So I was like saving up for it. We run into this woman that's like, I work at Disneyland. Do you guys want free passes? And I was like, sister, you did this. That was
Right?
you.
How fun. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. So
Do you
she's very good at that.
Right. Do you I know that you got her the phone and you allow her to post now. I'm sure you monitor that first. Do you also allow her to like go and talk to people the way you do about her gifts? That's the way you keep her protected?
Yeah, so this is going to be hard to explain, but
I'll probably understand.
I trust her so much. Like, she's never done anything that is against my wishes. Like, she just doesn't do it. Like, we have so much respect for one another, and she is so wise beyond her years. So yeah, I let her post on her backup account, and then sometimes and she's doing her own thing there. It's very cute. So she posts on her backup account. She's starting to make, because she doesn't know how to make the videos yet, how to like edit them and stuff like that. So she'll just post whatever's like on her mind. But and then she's created some of the ones, and then we posted she has the logins for both. But she's not allowed to go through and like read all the comments and
interact. Good.
Because I don't know if somebody's gonna, I trust her, but like,
right, you don't trust the other people.
So she posts, and then she'll like flip through TikTok. She's watching other people's stuff, but not too often. Like I try to keep the screen time like at a minimum.
That's cool. Oh gosh, I just have
Does
so
she
much
have
respect.
any friends her age that are also like having similar experiences, or is she no? So, yeah.
We're working on it. So she's talked with like Bray on TikTok, that Kelly, the magical medium, and it turns out they're brother and sister. He's actually a blue avian too.
Shut the front door. How freaking cool. I think
they discovered this on the phone, and I was just like, wow, I was completely blown away. And then he remembered it too. He was like, oh wow, that makes sense, because everybody was saying in the comments like, you guys look alike. Like,
right, they do.
And I'm like, wow, they do look alike. And then she's like, yeah, because that's my brother on the planet. And I was like,
that's so freaking cool, dude.
Wow. Yeah.
So do you feel that like we're going to be seeing more and more of these children being activated, as time, and faster too, right?
It's becoming the norm, like really.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
unless parent is not open to it, is like dead set against it, then the child will probably, the soul will not pick that person to incarnate with.
Right.
The
parent.
Yeah, I was going to say, then are they picking parents that are going to be supportive of cultivating that? Yes. And so what advice would you have?
Sorry, what was happening, I just wanted to say one thing, because Sevyn told me this. What was happening, that was happening for a while, that they were like picking parents that were super on the fence about it. And then the soul was having to exit because it was too challenging for them not to be able to fulfill their mission.
Right.
And I was just like, oh my God, that hit me so hard.
Right.
Wow, what if I had not let her do that? Would she have like chosen to leave, and like a soul walk, like a walk-in would happen.
Yeah.
Or randomly they just pass away.
Yeah, no, that's insane. I was thinking about that because you dropped a line earlier that made me think like, so what about the kids who don't get to fully express themselves? But it would make sense that they would incarnate with parents who eventually would understand, like, we came in for this mission and I may be, a hard parent, but gotta let my kid be my kid.
Yeah, and that's a message I so want the parents to hear, is like, please don't tell your kid that's wrong, or no, that you're lying.
Right. Or it's your imagination.
Yeah. Or when they're sharing their heart, and like, because they're excited or sometimes scared, or they don't know and they just want to share it with you. Don't do that, because that is going to really just crush them. And then they're not going to feel safe, and then it just snowballs. So that's like, yeah, that's the biggest thing that I really want parents to hear that message.
That's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful, especially in a world that just completely tries to stifle and suppress all of that. Like, it's actually incredibly brave, Kirsten, that you're so willing to not only like encourage that in her, but also share it with others as well. It's so necessary, but it's so uncharted. How do you navigate that as a mom?
Whew, it's been hard. I've had people in TikTok tag CPS in some of her posts, and that so I just always listen to the guides, and the guides are like, you're protected, but also they make me address, like they're like, you get to address this in a nice, polite way. So like, if you've seen some of my responses, I've responded.
I have.
That, but it's always a very like non-judgmental, like, hey. So sometimes in the beginning, I would have conversations with people. I'd be like, look, if you have questions, it's fine if you don't believe me or whatever, but if you have questions and you're actually open, I'll have a conversation with you. You can talk to my daughter. I was like that in the beginning before it got a little too crazy. So I can't do that as much anymore. But there was a lot of people that changed their minds. They were like, oh my gosh, wow, okay. Because they realized I wasn't hiding anything, Because it's like, whatever, the people that's like, oh, that's acting, I'm like, oh, okay, meet her and like, or have it, you see her out live, like, it's definitely not acting. Plus that would be hilarious. My daughter is so like, she has her like very strong willpower. You cannot tell her to do something. She'd look at me and be like, what? No. Because she's all about authenticity. If I tried to tell her to re-edit something, she'd be like, what? No. So just, that's
I love that.
Right, me too. It's just, you can literally see the downloads pouring into her when she's doing a video, and you can see that she's, you know, her age and her mind too. She's like, I know I have this to do, but right now I'm fidgeting with my, she's just incredible. She really like,
Mhm.
and coming from a parent, I am a mom. I have a 22 or yeah, 22, a 18 and a 14-year-old. And
Wow. You have,
yeah,
oh my
yeah.
God,
Oh my gosh.
amazing.
So if I don't make it to your seminar or your retreat in May, it's because my 22-year-olds actually do May 3rd.
Oh
So there's a good chance I won't actually end up making it, but I want to so bad.
my
But so
God.
like I
I just got a hit about the grandchild coming
ooh,
through though.
please tell me.
Oh, just wait. It's going to be very, very interesting. I felt like an almost 7 situation with how tough it is.
Yes.
Oh,
Because I'm the mom sitting here like, do you remember this or that? Like my youngest is 14 now. But I'm like, do you remember this? Like it's just such a beautiful thing to watch you be so open and inviting, and like you are just so respectful about your responses and people coming at your daughter, and you know you're a mama bear and you are just so professional and brilliant in everything you post. I just want to say like hats off, curtsy, everything. I've been a mom for a very long time, and your patience is beyond me. You're incredible, and I will stop praising you.
I wasn't always like that. I'll be honest, like, you know, I got to heal a lot of traumas, and to heal a lot of things within myself. But I've truly learned that everybody is doing the best that they can.
Mhm.
Even people that we think are evil, guess what? Their parents taught
Yep.
them to do this. It's just blah
Yes.
on and on and on.
Say
But guess
that
what?
too.
If one person says like, "Hey, I don't think you're this. How about try this?" Well, you never know what
Right.
change, and then
Yeah.
stop it. So I just, you know, I really try to just resonate with like, where's that person and their experience, and try to come at them with a, you know, with a loving attitude that might help them maybe tick something that might open them up.
Your compassion is exactly like what Yeshua brought to the world, and I think it's so beautiful and amazing, and you are very, very, very strong to be able to maintain that compassion, because not a lot of people can. So
yeah. And
again,
to
I just, you know, like the only other person I feel like has walked this earth with that great level of compassion was Jesus Christ, Yeshua, you know, so it's huge.
Wow. They, yeah.
I've watched your
I don't know.
videos.
I don't know if I deserve that, but wow, thank you.
You do.
And
Yeah.
to like model that for other, you know, like you're really setting a standard, Kirsten. You're creating a new way of conscious parenting,
Yeah.
and like, it's so necessary. And your ripple effect, years and sevens ripple effect is just so beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's our intent. And I know, you know, sevens was to reach the kids. And I think part of mine was, and I didn't really even know it. I thought I was just letting her do her thing, but part of mine now I think is to reach the parents, so that, because the kids are the future, they really are. And they're so pure and they're so loving, and they could run this world way better than we could. But
Right.
we just get to listen to them because they have ideas and they know things and they're so compassionate. So I was just like, what if I just do that? What if I just do that with her? Let's see what happens. And it's like,
Right.
oh, wow, this is what happens.
Yeah, I'm definitely sending Harley your way when she has her baby. My daughter's name is Harley, and I'm gonna be like, you gotta hook up with Kirsten because she knows how to deal with, not deal with, because that sounds so yucky, but like how to maintain balance with such a special gift in a child.
Yeah, navigating that space is like I will say it's terrifying in the beginning because it's so, it's like you hope these things exist, or you like, you know, but then
Yeah,
experiencing it, it's like a whole nother, it's like, wow, what? And then you get used to it, and then it's just it becomes very, I don't want to say normal because it's still not normal, but it's just yeah, becomes more fluid.
the new way. So you're literally navigating the way for other conscious parents,
Mhm.
and that's cool because you're the first. Well, yeah, you are the first. So making history books, girl.
Yeah, you're a shower.
So what kind of healings? I know we really, oh shoot, we gotta go. We'll do a part 2 one day
Absolutely.
because it's
Well,
already been an hour.
we do have Christy and I both have a question that we love to ask every guest that comes on the show. So my question is, what are you here for in the new earth? Like, what type of paradigm shift, what healing modality, like what change are you here for as we transition and shift into this new space?
To help support people who desire to truly make contact with this phenomenon, and how to, and to also get to the point to where they're able to make contact, like to support that action, because it's possible for everybody. And we are going to get to, in the next 3 years, like I would pretty much stake my reputation, I don't think I've said that about anything, that there will be an open contact event. Like I've never said that on the record, but I'm like 82% sure that it will happen. When that happens, there is going to be a lot of fear, because there are people who have a lot of fear around this. And the biggest divisive thing is the Bible and those words being used against us, because the church, I honestly, like, they have really misconstrued things for people, and they know it, and they're not going to be able to hide behind that anymore. So people are literally going to be ripped out of their reality that they've been so hell-bent on, like, this is what it is. They're going to freak out. And so this is why I think that they had me, and they had Sevyn, like, introduce these kinds of things so that it's not new, And then, I mean, when people experience it, it's still going to be fearful for some people, but like I would love to be a resource to help, to help that transition for people to really know it's going to be okay.
Right.
It's not, there's no demons here. This is not what this is. This is God's energy coming through, source, God, whatever you want to call it, to help us, because this is what it's all about. It never ends, like consciousness. It's not, we die, we go through another experience, we keep right on trucking. So this is about our ascension, and this is the most wonderful time to be alive.
This is why we came here.
What a beautiful message.
That was. My question for you would be, if you could individually tell every single person on this planet one thing that they could hear and like integrate, one message to tell the whole world, what message would that be?
You create your own reality. You literally have the ability to create things with your mind, to pull energy in, good or bad, depending on you, but it's up to you. There is no evil out there. The only evil is the evil that is playing the role as the other to help you learn that there is no evil. So if we learn that very thing will set you free, because then there's nothing to fear anymore.
Love that. Beautiful.
I love that so much. Wow. Well, this was such an incredible conversation, Kirsten. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. And finally, where can our listeners find you if they're interested in connecting with you, working with you, or learning more?
So my website is www.psychicbabes.com, PSYCHICBABES.com. And you can find me on TikTok, Psychic Kirsten. It's my Instagram is Psychic Kirsten as well. So is YouTube. And all of my services are there. And I just want to make one little thing. So there's people who are always like, Psychic Babes, what is that? I'm like, it's a play on words, because a babe is literally like a small animal that doesn't know anything. And so it's like, this is what we're coming into, is like, we're all babes. Like we're all also babes. Like, and to me, it's not like, it has nothing to do with looks. It's about like, it's like owning your energy. But then also it has a, another part to it. It's like, but we think we know everything, but we don't know anything really. We don't know shit, but we're learning that we're learning. So yeah.
I love that so much. That is so awesome. And we will be sure to link all of your social channels and your website in the show notes for our listeners, so that you can all connect with Kirsten and learn more about this amazing world we're living in and where we're headed. So
thank you guys so much. This was such a pleasure and such a beautiful conversation with the both of you. Guys are both amazing. Thank you for the work that you're doing and getting this message out there to people, because it's people like you that spread this message. And thank you. So I'm so grateful to both of you.
You're amazing. We love you. Thank you so much for coming on.
So
thank
welcome.
you. And thank you guys for tuning into New Earth News, a show where we talk all things 5D and the New Earth every Friday on YouTube. So if you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. New Earth News is also available as a podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. So make sure that you subscribe so you do not miss an episode. And if you are so inclined, give your girls a 5-star rating. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time.
We invite you to choose a matrix of love and
align to the frequency of the new earth.
thank
I'll
you.
see you next time.